Mayor Martinez, such an honor to be with you right now. So many emotions flowing. I'm certain, at this particular moment, how are you feeling with everything that's going on?
Well, it's been a pretty incredible journey here since I've been providing, or since I've been elected to be on as a community leader and or elected official. And I never really thought it was going to be this way.
Right.
It's been right around 18 years total that I've been serving our community, whether it's on the level at the school board, Pasco School Board, for 5 years, and then about 13 on the city council. And I didn't know if it was ever going to end. I really didn't. And I really didn't have an end in mind. It's just over the years and with everything that's happened and just the experience of getting to know people and how people function and all the things that are all the things that come with providing for a community has just been an incredible journey and experience and education. But as I see, I don't know what the future holds at this point, but it is kind of nerve-wracking what it's going to feel like when this position or this title is no longer with me. But I guess this is a time when, I just got to look to the future, and I can sit here and talk to you all day about certain things that I hope you ask later on in this interview. But for right now, it's just a very emotional time for many reasons that have been going on in my life in the last recent couple weeks. But it feels, but there's a sense of peace and satisfaction that I feel in my heart that it's time to move on and see what life has for me in the years to come.
And I think that's something people love about you so much, is that you're not afraid to share your emotions. You say you got that from your mom. I just love that, and you're able to cry and you admit that. Do you feel like that's been an important part of your success and the way you govern and manage the city and have been an effective city councilman and mayor by really sharing your emotions?
Well, it's really something I don't like about myself. I really don't like showing my emotions, and a lot of times many people might interpret it as weakness.
We know you're not weak. I mean, to me, that's a real strength.
Well, the reality is, and I get over it, after a little bit. But the reality is when you love hard, there's only so much a person can take. And that's one thing that ever since I got into community service, I just love people. And there's nothing more that I want than to, through all the experiences that I've been through in life and seeing how people have struggled in the past, if I can help one person, just one, I would be satisfied. But as time went on and as the experience kicked in, I've been really very fortunate that the doors of opportunity have opened. And I'll just share with you real quickly, I'm a man of faith. And I live by 5 priorities. And the priorities real quickly is God, my wife, my children, my career, and my ministry. And it's in that order. And I would love to share a lot about each one of those priorities and in that order, because that's how I live my life. And I've seen so many things happen over the years that to answer your question is that when you have so much passion to help people and so much passion to do what's right, it just of course everybody has a different level, but I just can't hold it in. And I'm not going to let that stop me from moving forward and doing what's right for humanity and for our community. And sometimes it's effective because people will see how much you care.
Right.
On the other hand, it's kind of bad when you're always doing it. But the reality is that I love hard, and I want to show that example to my children that no matter how emotional you get, you should show your affection and you should show that you care for your family and your community.
Well, as a staff member and a member of this community, we appreciate how much you love this community and all of us. Your family is so important to you. One of 11 children. You revere your father and your mother so much, and I respect and I love the way that you speak about them. And I know your father's been going through some things, and how much of what you learned from your parents were you able to use in your professional life and your city politics life, and bring that to the table to, like as you say, minister to the community?
Well, it's just amazing. You had these two people, and that's when it gets emotional, is when you talk about family, and how it all started. But you're talking about these two young people who were joined together in marriage, and they traveled the country and did whatever it took to survive. And when you realize their story and what they've been through, it's just overwhelming for me that all the stories that I hear about how much my father and mother loved us, to go to the extent that they did to provide for their family, you can just never repay that kind of thing back. And my father and my mother had 11 children. 2 of them passed, and I happen to just be stuck right in the middle now. I'm 4 younger and 4 older, and it's very uncommon to see a family that big be as close as we are. And it's just a very quick story. I used to live in Mesa, and we all lived in Mesa in an 1,100 square foot house, each and every one of us.
Wow.
And we had no choice but to learn how to collaborate, how to learn how to get along. And as you know, that in families there was many fights going on, but we loved each other, and we could never go to bed at night being mad at each other. And it was growing up, seeing how hard my father and my mother worked and all the sacrifices they made to give everything they had and give up so much for themselves to provide for their family. And not only their family, their community as well. I mean, they gave to so many people that I couldn't let that go by. And there's so many in our family, and our family never did any time in the military. And so the only way I knew how to give back and represent my family was through community service. And that's what got me into this. And to answer your question about my folks, is my folks only had a 3rd grade education. And I will tell anybody that would ask that, yes, I advocate for education. Education is important. That's what helped us get into this career fields and progress the way we did. But that is not the most important thing. There's nothing more important than life experiences that can educate you. And unfortunately, because we didn't have much education, we had to learn the hard way, but we persevered, and when we got through all those, and I seen my folks make so many mistakes, but they persevered, and they got over each and every one of them, and they did what they had to do to help their family succeed. And it was that perseverance, the strength, the love that got me encouraged to do what I'm doing today. And again, it was that example that I used that helped me get to where I'm at today, because the doors just opened up for me. And when the doors of opportunity opened up for me, I just took the leap of faith to do what I felt I was called to do.
Yeah, and it should be taken note that your father became one of the most successful custom potato farmers in Franklin County, and those life lessons that he passed on to you certainly have resonated across the community. There's a great story that you tell, that he said one day you were going to be the mayor of Mesa. So my question really, did you believe him at the time, and ultimately did you think that you would ever become the mayor of Pasco?
No, I never in my wildest dreams ever thought that it would end up this way. But yes, I was only about 8 or 10 years old, and I'll never forget, I was in the bedroom of our little 1,100 square foot house in Mesa, and I was playing the drums with sticks on the bed with some paper. I would use paper to make the different noises. And I was in the room with the door shut, and I was just, I wanted to be a drummer.
Yeah.
And I do recall my dad and his brother, Uncle Baltasar. They were checking me out and seeing what I was doing, and when I recognized they were looking at me, I said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And my dad always encouraged. Always encouraging us, especially when I had to come to work. I mean, that was his life, was work. But he always encouraged us to be hard workers. And anyway, he said, "Son," he goes, "You're awesome. You're going to be a good musician. And you know what? You're going to be the mayor of Mesa someday." And he always encouraged us to be leaders, always. And you know, as time went by and one thing led to another, when I moved to Pasco in 2001 from Mesa, and thought that it was like moving to New York City.
Right.
You know, the fact that you could order pizza and have it brought to your house was a big
Yeah.
deal, which brought the rest of my family within 3 years. Every one of them live now within a couple miles of each other here in the city of Pasco. And so, you know, as the opportunity came available and I started helping in the community, what really got me here was I got really involved with my children in the school system. And because I was really wanting to
Right.
make sure that they were going to adapt to the school system well, and got involved with the school and school board and so forth. But as the doors of opportunity opened up, I took the leap of faith. And when the opportunity came up for mayor, you know, it was possible. I could have probably fought for this earlier, but at the time, and this is what I'm going to tell you, it was very important for me to always have a functional council. The leadership in a city should look like its community. And as I stepped into this, I was the first official elected Latino as a council member.
Right.
And, you know, in working towards collaborating with the other council members, which they were awesome, but I always had a goal to have the council look like its community. And
Right.
as the community started growing, with the majority being Latino and many Russian, and you know, and there was some female presence on the council at the time, but we always wanted to go towards looking like its community, and it was just a wonderful thing. And to keep a functional council, I did what it took to put the right people in the
Right.
leadership positions. And you know, that's one of the things I really appreciate about our ex-mayor, Matt Watkins, who was an example to me. He was the longest lasting mayor in the city of Pasco. And, you know, I just cared about making sure we had a functional
Right.
council. But when the opportunity came up 2 years ago, I actually didn't think this was going to happen. But when it happened, I thought this was the time, because I was the one with the most experience on the
Right.
council, and it just made sense. And the council was gracious enough to give me a unanimous vote. So that's how I got here.
Yeah, and how did that make you feel, you know, as the first Latino mayor? Because that was really important to you, to be a reflection of the community, someone that during a council meeting could speak Spanish if there was a Spanish speaker. And I know that meant a lot to you.
It sure did. You know, I will be honest with you and said I've never really looked at myself like a Latino or something different. I knew I was, because my folks were from Mexico,
Right.
and I was very proud of my heritage. But I've always thought of myself as an American first. Again, I want to be very clear. I'm very proud of my roots. I'm
Right.
proud to be of Mexican descent. It's part of my blood. It's something you can't take away. But because I was born and raised here, and that's where a lot of confusion came in as a young person. I was born and raised here. I couldn't see myself as anything but an American. And with that, as we grew up in the school system, I was just part of my class community.
Right.
And you know, as I was growing up, obviously there was always a separation that I had to deal with. But because of my dad's success and what he did, we were able to do the things that my friends, my Caucasian friends, would do. And I remember being in high school, being part of the FAME, Future Awareness of Migrant Education Club, and the Natural Helpers. All those things that happened in school showed me the importance of community work and leadership, and also it was important for us to be diverse.
Right.
And so it was very important to me, mainly because I knew that I could be that stepping stone
Right.
to break the barriers
Yeah, to
of
break the mold.
racism, of how people felt about each other. And I'm very confident that most of my Caucasian friends that I grew up with, they made remarks when we were in high school, but it wasn't even because they felt it was a bad remark. It was what they were, it's just
Yeah.
something that they were used to. And that's what I've learned because all my friends
Yeah.
loved me for who I was and how I was. And, sometimes people just say things that they learn, not really knowing
Right.
or understanding what it really means. So being in this position and being the first Latino mayor of City of Pasco was such an importance to me because now there was so many Latinos that could see somebody like them here and say, well, if he did it, why can't I do it?
That you could break that barrier.
And I felt like there was a lot of barriers broken during that time, and it had to be somebody like me because even many other people don't understand. I mean, I'm an American of Mexican descent, and most people in this country are American of some other descent
Right.
and don't even realize it. So with that, yes, I think that we're getting closer and closer to taking our eyes off of color, off of accents, and realizing that each individual is a vital part of our community, and we can all make a difference. So that was very
Yeah,
important.
and what I hear too is you going back to your father and mother, and in a sense, did they kind of provide that framework that there are no barriers?
They
That
did.
They gave you that support. How important was that aspect in your success?
As they were traveling, migrating around the country, there was some places that they went to eat, and they had to eat in the back room. They couldn't even eat in the front room because of racism in different parts of the country. But my father never really got in a physical fight with them. My father would just look at him in the eyes and says, "Thank you for what you've done so far," and walked away. And what that showed me was that they were just ignorant of the situation, and maybe they were taught a certain way. And my father never really resisted, but he did show each and every one of his children that no matter what comes in your way, you deal with it with respect and honor, and do things that you don't regret, that you're gonna regret later, and just always make a positive difference in this world.
Now, being on the council since 2010, there's been a lot of challenges along the way. We've had incredible growth, the Antonio Zambrano shooting, to COVID. What have been some of the biggest surprises and challenges along the way?
Well, that definitely was something that really turned the city around, or really was really concerning to me. But those things had to happen so that we could learn. And my father, as I was growing up, anytime I would be on a piece of equipment out on the farm and something broke, I was expecting him to be very upset at me, but he was never upset at me for breaking the machinery. Because he said, "Hey, so you broke it. Did you learn something?" And I said, "Yeah, I won't do that again, Dad." He goes, "As long as you learned, it's fine. I won't be upset." And that was huge for me. And so, yes, I'm not proud of some of the things that have happened, but when those things like the Sobrano case and, there's been multiple times when we've had many people here talking about, religion, your rights as freedom of religion rights, things of that nature. It was the way this community handled those situations that I was most impressed with. And I want to believe, or I'd like to believe, that some of the things and messages that I gave during those hard times were helpful for our community, to come together, to not let it defeat us, to give us strength, and to learn more about each other, and to be able to celebrate those things we have in common, but respect those things that we have different, and always make improvements to our community. And I want to believe that I helped a little bit in that, and I'm so proud of my community for stepping up and being respectful. And this community in the city of Pasco has been an example to the nation in many aspects. When I was on the school board, our school system here is phenomenal, and we got to make some differences that were acknowledged nationwide. And our police department now here in the city of Pasco, and some of the things that we do here, there's people all over the country wanting to know what Pasco did, and I'm very proud of that for our community.
We're still going through COVID, and our city manager, Dave Zabel, he said on record that you really are the perfect mayor to go through this. Not only the way you interface with the public, but you're able to communicate with our Spanish speakers. kind of assess your role throughout the COVID pandemic, because it's been a challenge, and do you think you have been the right person for the job, and at this particular time?
Well, I've often asked myself, being a man of faith, if God was punishing me for all the bad things I did in my life. But the reality is, I do feel, because I feel that this is a ministry for me. Um, I do feel that there was a reason why I was placed during this time. I think that the communication part to our Latino community, and again, I don't want to leave other ethnicities out,
Right.
and knowing our other ethnicity groups that are growing in our community, but being that really the only Latino mayor in Pasco and the only one that can speak Spanish of the Tri-Cities, I know that I felt this sense of urge of responsibility to communicate to all of the Tri-Cities as we collaborate with other cities, which has been another reason for our success in Pasco. Um, but I just felt like, and I've said it many times, if somebody has to make tough decisions, why not me? We don't always like them, and not everybody's going to like them. But during this tough time, during this pandemic, if I was the one, I felt like if I was the one chosen to be here, I was going to step up to the plate and finish my job here. At least during up to this time, I think we've gone through the hardest part of the pandemic, and I just hope that everything that we've learned we can put into practice. But yes, communicating and reaching out to every ethnicity in the Tri Cities, it was just something that I think that I just hope I hope I did a good job.
Oh,
I did the best I
Of
could.
course, you did amazing. As you look back, what will you miss most about this job?
You know, it's the people. There's no question. The people I got to meet in high places, as they say, the legislators of our state, um, the people you collaborate with, how you collaborate with them is so important. Um, and just to be able to see, I went through the Leadership Tri Cities course, class of 15, best class
Yeah.
ever, right? Uh, um, it was that it was that organization and that experience that I had going through the Leadership Tri Cities process that helped me get bits and pieces of what makes up a community, and it was that experience that really motivated me to want to come and serve, and just to be able to empower people and to be able to work with people with the most struggles, the most vulnerable people, and then to work with people who are at the highest level, and to know how to communicate with both of those different people that are in those circumstances has been the greatest experience ever. And that's one of the reasons why, as my kids were growing up, they decided they wanted to be golfers.
Yeah.
And it's always golfing is a very unique sport, and I've always made it a point that my kids golf every golf course in the Tri Cities, from the one that's least expensive to the one that's most expensive, because you get your different characters in each one of those. And I wanted my kids to be able to collaborate and become friends with each and every one of them, because nobody's better than anybody.
Right.
And it was important for me to teach them that whether you're the most vulnerable or the one who has the most things in life, that you treat them the same. They're the same people. They're just under different circumstances, and we need to know how to deal with everybody. And that has been one of the best experiences for me, and is to be able to work with just so many different types of people, and they're the reason why I'm here. My family, I gotta say real quick, my family, both from my wife and my children, to my siblings and my father and my parents, they're without their support. I'm telling you, you might hear this all the time, but I'm telling you, without their support, I would have never been able to make it in this position. And just during the tough times when you get accused of things, when things are really tough, whatever decision I made, they were behind me 100%, even if they didn't agree. And that is so important in a family. And the people that support you is that you don't always make the best decisions. You don't always do things that you're not perfect, and they recognize that. But knowing that they'll be there for you at all those tough times is the reason why I'm here.
Do you have a biggest accomplishment at the City of Pasco? I mean, obviously, we've got exponential growth. We've got amazing companies coming in. Pasco is really up and coming. We sort of used to be the redheaded stepchild, but we're at the forefront now. I would say we're number one, and that's a huge part because of your leadership and city staff. There's a list of accomplishments, but is there one that is perhaps your favorite or your biggest?
Well, being in this position, it's never one person that does anything. We need to realize that anything that happens in the community happens because you got a great staff, you have great people working, passionate people working with you, and it's never, and unless you're Bill Gates, it's not one person that does something like that. It's a community that works together, and being part of that group. So I can't say that I've done anything particular, but one of the things that there are a couple things that I am proud of, and getting this Lewis Street overpass is one of them. That's a favorite because I was at the very beginning of when that started was being discussed, and finally, after all these years, it's actually happening, and that was pretty exciting. It usually takes 10 to 15 years before in government before you can really get things done to fruition, and the Amazon, all these. One of the things that I really focused on when I first came in here was to bring up our tax base so that we weren't the highest tax property tax city in the Tri-Cities. And we are now got a very, very good manageable rate that we've been working with. Our growth has helped that. And not only our growth in population, but our growth in our industrial realm and bringing up, the opportunity and development for those big businesses to come in to help us with those taxes and provide these vibrant communities. So, and again, it's through our management and the people who all helped that happen. So yes, I'm proud with now the new Costco coming in, the new schools. The new schools to me are wonderful because it's providing our next generation the opportunity to get great education. And starting the bilingual program when I was on the school board was a big accomplishment for me. So, and then I think I'll reach out and I'll say what I am kind of proud of, really, that is really going to stick behind it. Because everybody wants to live and leave a legacy, right? So the only thing that I see the things being built, and I know I have my name on a plaque with the new police department, and I say I have my name on a plaque at Chihuahua High School, even though, I love Chihuahua High School, but, Pasco Bulldogs.
I know, I was going to say,
where I'm at,
conflict of interest there.
But we did the renovations in the new high school there as well, that has the cable bridge representing there as well. But, just leaving behind a testimony, just leaving behind something that can be remembered, that something good happened and that I helped, just as the many people helped me when I was a migrant student. My parents didn't know anything. They barely knew how to speak English at the time. But there was always these people that received us at the schools that helped me and my family get to where we are today. So if I can just be remembered as somebody who helped our community and helped people get educated and improve their life anyway, that's the most important thing for me.
Well, we certainly will remember you, and on behalf of the city staff, how you treat us. And I know you have a great relationship with our senior management and Dave Zabel, our city manager. So we really appreciate just the love that you show us. What's next for you? I hear people wanting you to run for other offices. Are you done with political life, or is there a chance that we can see you maybe for a higher office? County commissions, congressional seats, I'm just throwing it out there, but has that been a thought?
I've been trying not to think about those things right now. Right now, and I really need to say, again, I mentioned it before, that without family and the support of them, I would never get anywhere. And the first one that deserves any accolades is my wife, Nettie, and then my children. They've been a rock for me through all the tough times. They're such supporters. I couldn't have better cheerleaders in my life. And so To answer your question, I have nothing planned for right now. Again, I'm going to live my 5 priorities in my life, and if God opens up another door for me somewhere that's beneficial for my family, because there has been some sacrifices made. There's been a lot of events that I didn't go for my kids because I needed to attend to business here. I think right now I'm just going to focus on making sure that my wife and I are going to be taken care of in the future for now. But I'm still going to live with that aspiration that if God opens up a door for me, and I don't know where that will be right now, but I'll take the leap of faith if I feel that that's what He has for me. And I really can't tell you. A lot of people will think, oh, you got something up your sleeve, but quite honestly, right now the only thing up my sleeve is to take care of my health. As I was driving here, I saw 2 buttons on my shirt that were about ready to blow. So I want to take care of my health. I want to be there for my wife and kids as they're having children and we're growing as a family. And again, I really don't have anything, any aspirations right now, but I'm not done. I'm not going to give up. But whether that's just living my everyday life and my career out at the Hanford site, then that'll be it. But I'm here to do what I feel God has for me to do, and whatever that is next, I'm excited for it. And I know as long as my wife and my kids are in favor, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, we'll certainly be watching out for you, Mayor. Just so glad I got to witness it here for quite a long time as a journalist and now as a staff member. On behalf of the city, we appreciate that you wore your heart on your shirt sleeve. You weren't afraid to cry, and that you put God first, and we got to witness your ministry. So thank you. I appreciate you. And well, I know we'll see you again soon.
Well, I'm not going anywhere, and it's going to be interesting what happens next. But for me and my family, but I want to just say one more thing. I just want to appreciate so much. I've had the privilege of working with 2 city managers in my time here on council, Gary Crutchfield and Dave Zabel. And I will tell anybody that, despite, again, the fact that nobody's perfect and everybody has their faults, those 2 men have been an example and a vital part of this community. Gary Crutchfield and his staff and all the council members, everybody did their part. And I just want to appreciate and thank each and every one of those people that were part of my life and helped me grow and get educated and the efforts they've made for this community. All the volunteers that have volunteered for this city, there's nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer, and that's kind of where it's been for me, because for anybody who wants to do this job for the little stipend we get is insane. But I just want to thank each and every one of the people that I've got to confront and deal with here with the city. So many things to be grateful for, and I just appreciate every one of them, and I want to encourage the community to do the same and do their part in making this place a better place for future generations.
Well, we're grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bud.